the worst young person. I'm the old soul young person. I have people on my team to help facilitate all of that for sure.
Well, it does my heart good.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself a quick on tech and everything, or?
Um, I suppose I do. I consider myself a very curious person that likes to learn more things, and
Uh-huh.
I'm always engaging in something where I'm trying to learn. So for me, I don't know that I'm quick in tech, but based on talking to some of my friends, I'm probably a genius.
What are you studying now? What are some of the subject matter areas that you're studying?
Well, I've always been into meditation, so I do that every day. But I'm also trying to reconnect with my Japanese language, which was spoken much more to me when I was younger. And the other thing is, I'm reading a book by Joe Navarro on body language.
Hmm.
So, but not to worry, I'm not trying to read you because I'm not that good at it yet. But talk to me maybe in a year.
He's a interrogator, right? Am I remembering that correctly? He's FBI interrogator.
You are absolutely correct. He was a former FBI agent and interrogator, and he crafted his skills based on that.
Interesting. One of my challenges with, especially when they apply it to sales and marketing and business development and being in sales scenarios, is then people almost kind of read too much into it, and then
Yeah.
salespeople kind of think too much into that, and especially an inexperienced salesperson, and then they forget the important things that are like the bigger picture of the conversation. They're too worried about, oh, my prospect's leaning in, so I need to make sure that I lean in also, or they scratch their face, so I should scratch the opposite side of my face. Like stuff like that, I feel like can really help someone or totally destroy someone's sales career.
It's true. And something that I read in the book, which is very valid, is you can get caught up in the details. And when in fact, those details are used to help you to see a larger picture, a more holistic picture. And I think that you're absolutely correct. People get too far into the weeds and forget to pull back a little bit and see, in what context is this happening? So,
The overview effect of it all.
absolutely.
Um, Definitely. And I want to talk about meditation too. Let's chat on that. I think it's a great topic, really important for anybody in business today.
Mhm.
As a quick way to get started, first off, really appreciate you making the time to do this. Was really excited for this interview. And I'd love if you can give a quick 60-second synopsis on your background and what led you to where you're at in your career today.
Well, I started back in the late 70s as an orderly. That's how long ago it was, because that's what they called us, for a nursing home up in Northern California. And that kind of started off my healthcare career. A few years later, I joined a company called Summit Health in their long-term care group. And I began my career in long-term care operations running nursing homes. And I ran those for a few years of various sizes. And then I received a promotion as a regional director where I oversaw a group of nursing homes and assisted living facilities in Los Angeles County area. And then a few years later, I got an operations vice president promotion, and I ran a larger group of nursing homes and assisted living facilities in California and Arizona. And then back in 1997, as my wife would characterize it, I lost my mind and decided to leave operations. And I joined the Fox Group, where I'm with now. And the Fox Group was formed in 1989 as a management consulting firm that specializes in healthcare providers. I became a partner in 2002 and has been the managing partner for probably about a year and a half now.
What's it been like as a leader navigating the pandemic and just kind of the business landscape we're in right now?
We're fortunate at the Fox Group because our business model was based on our consulting staff working remotely, even before the pandemic. And consequently, we've had the tools and the systems in place even before COVID-19 to work remotely. So for us, as far as the work environment, it hasn't really changed. Of course, I shut down the office back in March. Haven't really opened it back up yet. But so for us, as far as business, internal business, it's been more business as usual. However, on external business side, obviously we've seen pressure on our clients because it's been an extraordinary time. You know that, we all know that. But we've been fortunate as far as our business goes. We haven't lost more than just a handful of clients. And as a matter of fact, we've gained some clients. So for us, we've been pretty fortunate for the business that it's remained stable. But being in the healthcare industry, Connor, it's been a very, very difficult time for the healthcare industry, as it has been for the entire world. And we've seen great challenges going on, and we've seen a lot of people step up, a lot of businesses step up, as you know. So it's been an interesting time, to say the least, even for a guy like me that's been around for a long time, something very unique for me.
Yeah, and you've been in healthcare, you're in a very specific sector of it, nursing homes. And now we were talking about the overview effect earlier, but now you kind of have this bigger overview of the healthcare industry, and even from a global perspective, which is really interesting. And a lot of healthcare related folks I've interviewed, they're just kind of focused on the US systems as well. So what do you think globally are going to be some of the biggest changes moving forward post-COVID era? Or I mean, there is no post-COVID era, but I guess just moving forward from where we're at today.
Well, I think that globally, the same challenges that the healthcare providers in the industry has here domestically will be faced globally. Obviously, as a part of our business, we've been very fortunate to do a good amount of international consulting, Europe, Middle East, Asia. And what has struck me in that experience is the differences in each one of their healthcare systems. And they certainly reflect the culture, the values of those individual countries. And if I could digress just for a moment, and from a business standpoint, I think that international clients come to us because of our knowledge of American healthcare system. And obviously, because they're interested in our system, they really want to know more about how we do business and how it might apply to them. But I think the mistakes that we made early on was to assume, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take our American healthcare knowledge and just apply it to you guys. And in effect, somewhat stand aside, let us do our work. We do this for a living, not to worry. When in fact, some advice I'd like to give to your listeners that are looking to do international work is to take time to step back, just stop and listen. Understand that you're in a different country. Understand that you have a different culture. Understand there's a different language and different set of values. And if you take the time to get to know that, you'll not only earn the respect of your international client, you'll also be able to give them a product and a service that's much more tailored to them and will be much more successful for them going forward. That's something that we really have learned a great deal about, have slowed down, and I think that our international clients appreciate that.
How have you gone about procuring business internationally, especially with healthcare? A lot of very relationship driven. I feel like a lot of companies who are going to outsource to partners like you to work with are going to want someone within their country, but you've expanded outside of that. How have you done that? What steps have you taken, and what changes have you mated? That's a word, right? Mated? Mated. How have you mated your clients? What changes, what pivots have you made in your business development practices recently as well?
Originally, it should be noted that our senior founding partner is German. He's from Germany. And so he had a set of sources, referrals in Germany that kind of started things off. And it kind of grew from there. But I think that the greatest growth came about, 10 years ago. About 80% of our business was through word of mouth, through referrals. So most of the time when a prospective client called, we knew that they were going to call, we knew who they were, we knew who would refer them. But we looked down the road as partners and said, we don't think that's going to be the way to do business. We think there's a thing called the internet, and we think that this internet is going to be a powerful resource for people looking for not only consulting firms, but whatever kind of resource that you would be looking for. And so we spent a great deal of time trying to educate ourselves on what SEO meant. Never heard of it before, but oh wow, there's this thing called search engine optimization. Well, what's that all about? And how do you design a website to be interactive and to be found by Google and to show up on searches? And so we spent a lot of time trying to educate ourselves, and by no means I'm an expert in this. But I think that was a turning point for us, because what happened is now we had prospective clients, whether they were in Spain or Saudi or China, find us through the internet, because most everybody has the internet. And so consequently, it's gone from 80% of our business was referral, word of mouth, to, I'd say conservatively, 95% of our business is from people that I've not met. I didn't know they were going to contact me. And you're on the phone with somebody for the first time. It's literally transformed our business, Connor. And that has been, I will point to, the single greatest factor in expanding our business beyond the borders. We had a business and we had a model that was beyond the borders, but that commitment 10 years ago to that initiative really has made the difference.
What are you generally starting conversation wise? I guess let me reframe that a little bit. If you're teaching a salesperson, a CEO who's also trying to sell something to these healthcare facilities and decision makers, what do you say to them? How do you start the conversation? How do you start the relationship in a way that goes from someone cold who just reaches out to you, which congrats on the way that, by the way, that's awesome that you're getting that much traffic in through search. How are you starting that to like close sale, revenue, business?
I think the traditional model of being able to converse with a prospective client and get to understand their needs is true regardless how they get to you. But I think that you have to understand, with this business model coming through the internet, you not knowing who they are, is you need to slow down, I use that word again, and take the time to understand who it is that you're talking to. Because in the old days, I already knew who I was going to talk to, kind of knew their background, the referral sources kind of gave me the heads up. And so I was pretty familiar, but now I don't know. And so I get on the phone with Connor and I have no clue what Connor wants, other than there's probably an email that came through our website that says, I need help with X. And so I need to sit down and I take time, and we've kind of developed a worksheet that helps guide us as to making sure to ask questions, not only questions of background, but of value and about budget and those kind of things, but importantly, to get to know the client.
And you just developed that internally, not to cut you off, but I think it'd be interesting to expand upon a little bit, that worksheet. You have a structure, you have a formal question guide that you're following in your initial meeting, in your initial conversation with a prospect?
Well, if my business partners are listening, I'm saying, yes, I stick to that worksheet. Absolutely, yeah, right. With great fidelity. But reality, no, you kind of go off script. But yes, we formulated this worksheet organically, and it was based on value-based consulting, on focusing on value. And one of the things that in order to establish value, Connor, you have to establish what your prospective client is desiring, what their values are, what they want to get out of it before you launch into selling them whatever kind of service that they need to provide. You need to understand and to be able to restate as well as they can, if not better, what their needs are. And once you get to that point, then you can presumably establish some level of trust, because in our business, Connor, you have to have a certain level of trust. The client is not handing over the business to you, but in many ways putting the future of the business in your hands. So that's a tremendous leap of faith. And so you have to take the time to get to know the client individually and get to know their business, and then determine what their needs are. And sometimes their needs cannot be fulfilled by you. Sometimes their desires are not realistic, and you have to be big enough and smart enough to step up and go, I don't think that we can help you, and I don't think that you want that help.
That's really interesting. I think even just at a deeper level, something that I respect about you that we talked about is even to be prepared for those technical sales conversations, um, being effective inwardly before outwardly. So you talked about meditation before.
Right.
Share a little bit more about what you do with that and how that actually maybe if at all applies to your business practices.
Well, I think it applies to business practices tremendously, as well as your non-business practice. I personally like to start my day fairly early, 5:30. And one of the first things that I do is I spend 10 minutes of meditation. I've been doing this for years now. And it is a way of, yes, calming your mind. And people think it's clearing your mind, but it's more like, for me, I could be very comfortable with my thoughts. And it has helped me to, in a business conversation, to be in the moment. And I know people have heard that term, be in the moment, but being in the moment is to be there for the client, for the prospective client. Not be worried about, okay, I gotta go get the car serviced, or I've gotta go do this. It's to be here for you and to listen to you, to truly listen to what you have to say, and to be there. Because by doing so, Connor, you're not only going to be a much better business person, you're going to be a much better partner, you're just going to be a better person. So I have found that meditation has really, really helped me in that. And for those listeners out there that think, oh, this is this Eastern esoteric thing, and it's like incense and kind of thing, that's not it at all. You will find that it really helps you in all aspects of your life, certainly business, that's for sure.
Yeah, even when you and I talked about just slowing down, taking a break, not working 7 days a week, I I truly have found the most success when I've been able to remove myself or be frequent with meditation. I think people misunderstand what that means. Like exercise could be a form of meditation, or
Yes.
binaural beats, or watching something for 20 minutes that, just gets you out of your chatter, the daily chatter. Do you use apps, or any recommendations on what you follow specifically, or you're just sitting quietly for 20 minutes first thing in the morning?
I use Headspace, the
Love
app.
Headspace.
Um, there are many good apps out there, but for me, Headspace has worked, and I enjoy it. There are times that there are guided meditations that I use, and sometimes I just feel like it's just an opportunity for me to use the unguided and spend 10, 20 minutes in unguided and be present, sitting down. And as you correctly pointed out, it's not necessarily meditating a 10-minute meditation that is just silence. Meditation is also about mindfulness. And mindfulness is something you bring to your everyday life, whether you're eating, whether you're walking, whether you're driving. And a classic example I like to tell people is, how many of us have driven home from work and all of a sudden pulled up to the garage and go and realize, I don't remember how I got here. And for those of you who say that's never happened, come on, be truthful with yourself. That has happened. And mindfulness is such that we understand being in the present. And I'm not great at it. Look, we have our moments, but mindfulness is being present in the moment, giving the moment its due and its value. For you and I right here, this is the world. This is where I'm at right now. And that makes me a better person. So it adds depth to your conversation. It adds knowledge to your brain. I cannot endorse it enough.
Love it. I think it's good. And I think it's something that is valuable. More people are talking about now in the business world. Definitely. So to pivot here real quickly, you've managed large teams up to, I think it's like 1,500 people before, right?
Yes. Yes.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you've made as a leader managing a mid-size, team like that and large teams? And what are some recommendations you'd make for other managers who are also leading large teams today?
It's a great question. First thing is people, people, people. You need to invest time in hiring, orienting, training, and retaining good people. Good people are the key. And I think I spent the initial years of my leadership career not being as mindful to selecting good people. And now, keep in mind, selecting good people is a nebulous term. But one thing that people don't realize is you have to know who you are as a leader. You have to know your leadership style. You have to know what motivates you and what gets you going, and what kind of person relates well to that style. So it's also knowing who you are as a leader and what kind of person you are in helping you select the right people. I was very fortunate in my leadership career to be able to have people that worked with me that were great people that tolerated my style and my idiosyncrasies. And so I think the people aspect is incredibly important. The second advice I would give is detail, getting into detail. I don't mean that by micromanaging. I mean that understand what it is that you're asking people to do. Understand what are the key elements of your business. Understand what to be looking for, how to monitor your business in such a way that you don't have to get into every single aspect of the business, but you know what things to monitor, so if they start to go awry, you can step in. The third thing, as is with real estate, which is location, 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 in management, it's follow up, follow up, follow up. And the classic example is, I'm your boss and I give you an email at 3 p.m. on Friday that goes, Connor, I gotta have this information by Monday morning at 9 a.m. Gotta have it. So you work your tail off because you're a hardworking, smart guy, and you work through the entire weekend and get me the thing at 8:55 a.m. 9 a.m. goes by, nothing happens. 10 a.m. goes by. Now, imagine that same email goes out to 3 people, and the other 2 people go, yeah, I didn't want to do that. I was too busy having brews over the weekend, getting my suntan on, and nothing happens. So what happens to your credibility as a leader the next time you ask for something to happen? Ain't going to happen. So I think follow-up's a really important thing. And so,
And in that, like, more so affirming you've got it, you got what you needed, not just kind of leaving it open in the air.
yes, well, not only that you got what you needed, but also I've looked at it, Connor, and here's a couple things that I got questions on, or a couple things that I think you missed. I want to let you know that I looked at it. It had value to me. And I want to make sure that the next time I ask something from you, you go, okay, that's right. He likes to have this kind of information. It's a teachable moment. So I tell people to help time management, you try to touch a piece of paper. Well, that was in the old days when you had paper on your desk. But you touch a piece of paper once. But what you do when you touch that piece of paper is important. And you're going to have people that are loyal to you, that want to work for you, if you value their time, you value their work, and you value their input.
So Craig, in wrapping here, anything else that's top of mind for you that you feel like would be really important to share?
Well, I appreciate the forum. I want to say this, being in the post-acute care industry, in this pandemic, post-acute care providers, especially skilled nursing providers and assisted living providers, have really taken a bad rap in the media. And as an example, I would say that there have been tremendous visibility given to the clinicians, to the nurses, to the doctors and hospitals, and they deserve every bit of it. But every bit of that, those accolades, those kudos that went to them, deserve to go to every certified nursing assistant, every nurse, every housekeeper, every physician that's in a skilled nursing facility or an assisted living facility. And those people, I'll remind your listeners out there, are guarding our most vulnerable population. Now, I'm not saying that every provider and every person is perfect, nor are they in any industry. But by and large, I will tell you, for being in this industry for nearly 40 years, these are people that do it for the love of what they do. They have a passion for the older adults of this world who sometimes cannot care for themselves, cannot speak for themselves. So for all those people out there that are doing that, I want to say thank you for their hard work. There's a great amount of people out here like me, like you, that appreciate the work that they do. And I hope that going forward, the light that has been shone on this industry is going to be also a light that shines on the hard work and the valuable work that they do in supporting our older adults. So, and I appreciate, Connor, that you allow me the opportunity to say that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing. Appreciate you hopping on and mentoring us today and sharing your incredible insights. And on that note too, what's the best way people to follow you, find you, get into contact with you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, as you know, and I'm also on Twitter at CTFFOX. And you can also reach out to me via email. It's cfukushima at foxgrp.com. And I look forward to, if you have questions or if you want to make comments, certainly feel free to reach out to me. It's a wonderful world that's getting smaller that we live in. So, and as I told you earlier, I have a thirst for learning. So I would welcome that.
Well, beautiful. Well, I'm very grateful for you sharing the time, and I know you're revisiting learning Japanese. Maybe I'll try to learn and we can do the next podcast in Japanese together. And
now you're going to make my hands sweat, Connor.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But I said it out loud. Now I got to commit to it. So there you go.
You put it out there.
Put it out there. Now I got to commit. This is how I found myself doing stand-up comedy.
Oh, wow.
Just having a conversation like that. But on that note, all of you listening, again, appreciate you. Make sure you go subscribe. Make sure you go follow, connect with Craig, and we'll see you over on the next one.